How humans survived Ice Age winters without houses. Look at your thermostat for a moment. Maybe it says 68 degrees. Maybe 72. You probably set it once and never thought about it again. But for most of human history, staying warm was one of the hardest problems humans ever faced. There were no heated homes, no insulation, and no electricity. Only freezing winds, animal hides, fire, and human ingenuity. During the Ice Age, temperatures across parts of Eurasia could drop below -40 degrees Fahrenheit. In those conditions, an unprepared modern person might not survive a single night. Yet our ancestors didn't just survive those winters. They thrived. And they did it using engineering principles that still surprise researchers today. Most people imagine Ice Age humans hiding in caves around small fires. But archaeology tells a different story. Many Ice Age communities built shelters specifically designed to trap heat and protect families from extreme cold. Some groups even dug partially underground homes. This may sound simple, but it was incredibly effective. A few feet below the surface, the ground stays much warmer than the freezing air above. Instead of fighting the cold directly, they used the earth itself as insulation. Later, shelter design became even more sophisticated. Archaeologists discovered evidence of structures built with multiple layers of materials. Animal hides trapped warm air. Grass and moss helped control moisture.
Outer layers blocked wind while allowing the shelter to breathe. This wasn't random experimentation. It was practical engineering developed over thousands of years. In many ways, the same principles are still used in modern homes. Today, we use insulation foam, vapor barriers, and weatherproof walls. Ice Age people used hides, moss, and bark. The materials were different. The physics were the same. But the most remarkable shelters appeared in places where mammoths once roamed. In parts of modern Ukraine and Eastern Europe, archaeologists discovered houses built from mammoth bones. These were not temporary windbreaks. They were carefully planned structures. Massive mammoth skulls formed foundations. Curved tusks created strong frameworks. Additional bones filled the gaps. Everything was covered with thick animal hides. The result was a shelter capable of resisting some of the harshest winters on Earth. Experimental reconstructions suggest these structures were surprisingly warm. With controlled fires inside, temperatures could remain dramatically higher than the frozen world outside. That means Stone Age builders achieved results that still impress modern survival experts. Of course, none of this worked without fire. Fire was far more than a source of warmth. It was the center of Ice Age life. Families cooked around it, worked around it, shared stories around it, and survived because of it. Inside larger shelters, fires were often managed carefully. The warmest areas were reserved for infants, elderly family members, and sleeping spaces. Different areas served different purposes. Even daily life reflected planning and organization. Fuel management was equally important. In some regions, wood was scarce. People adapted. They burned dried animal dung, bones, and other available materials. Researchers studying ancient hearths discovered evidence that fuel was selected and managed deliberately. Nothing was wasted. Every resource mattered. Survival depended on efficiency. But staying alive required more than warm shelters and good fires. It required planning. Ice Age people were not reacting to winter.
They were preparing for it months in advance. Construction often began before temperatures dropped. Food was gathered and stored. Tools were repaired. Clothing was prepared. Everything had to be ready before the worst weather arrived. Food storage was especially important. In colder regions, underground storage areas acted like natural freezers. Meat could remain preserved for long periods. Families could survive storms that lasted days or even weeks. Clothing followed the same philosophy as shelter construction. Multiple layers performed different jobs. Inner layers trapped warm air. Outer layers blocked wind and moisture.
Different animal furs were chosen for different purposes. The goal was not simply to stay warm. The goal was to stay warm efficiently. And this knowledge was passed from one generation to the next. When darkness arrived, life did not stop. The campfire became the center of social life. Anthropologists believe storytelling played a crucial role during these long winter nights. Stories preserved knowledge. Stories taught lessons. Stories strengthened communities. Long before books, schools, or the internet, stories helped humans survive. Around those fires, people shared information about animals, weather, landscapes, and danger. Knowledge became one of humanity's most powerful survival tools. Many researchers believe some of humanity's earliest artistic traditions also flourished during these periods. The creativity that defines our species may have grown stronger during the long winters of the Ice Age. What makes all of this remarkable is that none of it happened by accident. These people were not primitive. They were observant, adaptable, intelligent. They studied their environment and solved problems using the resources available to them. In many ways, they were engineers. The end of the Ice Age gradually changed everything. As climates warmed and forests expanded, many of these survival systems became less necessary. Over time, some of the knowledge disappeared. But not because it failed. It disappeared because humans found new ways to live. Today, scientists continue studying these ancient shelters. Survival experts learn from them. Engineers analyze them. Researchers still discover new details about how effective they were.
In some cases, methods inspired by ancient designs have even influenced modern shelter construction in extreme environments. So let's go back to that thermostat. The comfortable temperature inside your home might feel ordinary, but for your ancestors, it would have felt extraordinary. Not because they couldn't create warmth. They could, and often in conditions far worse than anything most of us will ever experience. The difference is that every warm night demanded preparation, effort, knowledge, and skill. Behind every comfortable room today stands thousands of years of human innovation. The stories we tell, the homes we build, and the comfort we enjoy all trace back to people who refuse to surrender to the cold. The next time winter arrives and you adjust your thermostat without thinking, remember the people who survived with nothing but fire, hides, bones, and determination. Their greatest invention was not a shelter. It was the knowledge that made the shelter possible. And that knowledge helped shape the world we live in today. What surprised you most about Ice Age survival? There are many more forgotten stories from humanity's past waiting to be uncovered.